The hum of the lab machines filled the room as Cale stepped closer to the workstation. The soft glow of screens reflected off his determined face. Ever since the strange readings began appearing on the outer sensors, he had been uneasy. Something about the new prototype wasn't right. He glanced around the lab. Normally, the lab was busy with other scientists and engineers, but today it was eerily silent. Even the usual chatter of technicians was absent. Cale's pulse quickened. He wished he had confronted Draven, the lead engineer, yesterday instead of waiting. Something told him that Draven knew more than he was saying. Cale approached the main console. The readings on the monitor flickered between normal and alarming. A sudden spike in the energy output caught his eye. It was subtle, almost invisible, but Cale had spent years learning to notice these small anomalies. He frowned. This wasn't just a glitch. This was deliberate. "Kyle?" A voice called softly from behind him. It was Mira, his close friend and fellow scientist. Her brow was furrowed with worry. "I don't know," Cale admitted, gesturing at the screen. "These readings, they shouldn't be happening. Not yet, at least." Mira stepped closer, her eyes scanning the data. "Do you think someone is tampering with the prototype?" Kyle shook his head slowly. "I don't know, but I have a feeling that Draven is hiding something. He's been acting strange. He disappears for hours and no one knows what he's doing. I should have confronted him when I had the chance." Mira frowned. "Do you want me to come with you?" Cale hesitated. The lab was large and the prototype area was heavily restricted. If Draven was up to something, they could be walking into a trap. But he couldn't do this alone. "Yes," he said finally. "I need you with me." The two of them moved quietly toward the restricted section of the lab. Cale's hands trembled slightly, not from fear, but from the anticipation of discovering the truth. He remembered the warning signs he had ignored, the odd scheduling of Draven's experiments, the unexplained changes in the prototype, and the secretive logs that disappeared from the system. They reached the door to the prototype chamber. The door was supposed to be locked, but Cale found it slightly ajar. His heart skipped a beat. Someone had been here recently. He exchanged a glance with Mira. She nodded, and together they stepped inside. The room was dimly lit, the hum of machinery louder here. The prototype stood at the center, glowing faintly with a soft blue light. It was impressive, almost otherworldly. Cale couldn't help but admire the engineering behind it. But admiration quickly turned into alarm when he noticed Draven standing on the opposite side of the room, working on the prototype with focused intensity. "Draven," Cale called out, trying to keep his voice steady. Draven turned sharply, his eyes narrowing. "Cale, Mira, I wasn't expecting you here." Cale swallowed hard. "We need answers. What are you doing with the prototype?" "These readings are unusual. Dangerous, even." Draven's expression didn't change. He continued adjusting the prototype settings as if he hadn't heard Cale. "Everything is under control," he said finally, his voice calm. "You don't need to worry." Mira stepped forward. "Draven, Cale's right. These anomalies could be catastrophic. We need transparency, not secrecy." Draven's eyes flicked between them, a hint of irritation visible. "You don't understand. This project requires precision. One wrong move and the entire experiment fails. I cannot have interference." Cale clenched his fists. "Interference? Mira and I are part of this team. We have the right to know what's happening. I should have confronted you before, but I won't stay silent now." Draven paused. For the first time, a flicker of uncertainty appeared on his face. He hesitated, then sighed. "Very well," he said slowly. "I suppose you need to see the full truth." He pressed a series of buttons on the console. The prototype hummed louder, and a holographic projection appeared above it. The projection displayed a map of the nearby sectors, overlaid with pulsing energy patterns. Cale's eyes widened. This is incredible," Mira whispered. "Is this some kind of energy network?" Draven nodded. "Yes. We've discovered a form of energy that can be harnessed far beyond what we've ever known. But it's unstable. One miscalculation could cause an explosion capable of leveling this facility." Cale felt a chill run down his spine. "Then why keep this from the team? Why not warn everyone?" Draven's eyes darkened. "Because not everyone can handle it. Not everyone can be trusted. Some might misuse it. That is why I worked in secrecy." Mira shook her head. "Secrecy only increases danger. You should have trusted your team." "We could have helped." Draven looked away, conflicted. "Perhaps. You're right. But now it's too late to undo what has already begun. Suddenly alarms blared throughout the lab. The prototype's hum became a loud, high-pitched whine. Kale and Mira exchanged panicked glances. Draven rushed to the console, typing rapidly. "The energy is destabilizing," Draven shouted. "If we don't stabilize it in the next few minutes, the whole facility could be destroyed." Kale's mind raced. He realized that all the warning signs he had ignored were leading to this moment. He should have acted sooner. He should have confronted Draven earlier. Now they were on the edge of disaster. "Draven, tell us what to do." Kale yelled over the noise. Draven pointed to several panels. "Adjust these regulators and synchronize the output with the main energy core. It's risky, but it's our only chance." Kale and Mira moved quickly, following Draven's instructions. Sparks flew from the machinery and the hum grew deafening. Sweat poured down their faces, but they worked as one, trusting each other's instincts. Minutes felt like hours, but finally, the prototype's glow stabilized. The alarm stopped. The hum returned to a steady, safe rhythm. Kale sank to the floor, exhausted but relieved. Mira leaned against a console, equally drained. Draven exhaled, running a hand through his hair. You did well. I underestimated you both." Kale shook his head. "We all underestimated the danger. But now we know. We need to be honest and work together from the start." "No more secrets," Draven nodded slowly. "Agreed. From now on, transparency is the only way forward." As the three of them stood together in the dim glow of the stabilized prototype, Kale realized something important. Humans, when united by trust and courage, could face even the most unknown and dangerous forces. This was only the beginning of their journey. And next time, he would not wait to confront the truth. Kale walked slowly down the long corridor of the research station. The air smelled of metal and cool ozone from the machines that never slept. Lights blinked in rhythm along the walls and the hum of power lines filled the silence. He was alone, or at least he thought he was. He had worked on this station for 3 years, studying strange energy from deep space. Most of the crew stayed on the upper levels, but Kale preferred the quiet lower decks. Down here the lab ran all night and he could hear his own thoughts. But tonight felt different. A soft flicker of light came from Lab 7, the old lab at the far end. That lab was supposed to be empty. Kale slowed, his heart beating faster. Inside Lab 7 stood a man he did not recognize. Tall, calm, and silent, he worked at the control board like he belonged there. A dim blue glow surrounded him, as though the machines themselves bent toward his presence. Kyle stayed in the doorway for a moment, thinking. He should report this. He should call security. But something inside him said to wait. This was not just a stranger. This was something more. The stranger turned slightly, his face in shadow. "You shouldn't be here," he said softly. His voice was deep but not threatening, like a teacher's voice at the end of a lesson. Kale stepped forward. "This is my lab," he replied. "Who are you?" The stranger didn't answer right away. Instead, he adjusted a device on the panel. The blue glow grew brighter. "I'm here because of the energy you're studying," the stranger said finally. "It's not what you think. It's not just power. It's a signal," Kyle frowned. "A signal? From where?" The stranger turned fully now, revealing sharp but human features. His eyes reflected the blue glow. "From beyond this system. From a civilization older than yours." Kale's pulse quickened. This was impossible. Humanity had searched for centuries and never found proof of intelligent life beyond their world. Yet here was a man claiming to know the truth. "Why are you here?" Kale asked. "To guide you," the stranger replied. "But first you must decide if you're ready to know." Kale felt a chill. His instinct told him to leave, but curiosity anchored him in place. This was the moment every scientist dreamed of, the discovery of something greater. The stranger moved closer to a containment pod holding a swirling sphere of energy. The sphere pulsed gently, almost like a heartbeat. "This energy," the stranger said, "is not just raw force. It carries information, and it is unstable in your hands." Kale's training pushed him to question. "If it's unstable, why are you touching the controls?" "You'll overload the system." "I know how to control it," the stranger said calmly. "But only if you trust me." Kyle took a step closer. The hum in the room deepened and the lights flickered. He felt the weight of his decision pressing on him. "Why me?" he asked finally. "Because you listen," the stranger said. "Most humans rush, fear, or destroy what they do not understand. But you watch, you learn, and you hesitate. That is your strength." Kyle looked at the sphere again. It pulsed brighter now, as if hearing their words. "What happens if we fail?" he asked. The stranger's face darkened. "Then we'll—" The lab was quiet now, but the air still vibrated with tension. Kale, Mira, and Draven stood around the prototype, watching its steady glow. For a moment it seemed as if the room itself was holding its breath. Kale wiped the sweat from his forehead and finally spoke. "We stabilized it, yes. But what happens next? The energy is still unstable. If we don't find a way to control it fully, we could be facing this danger again." Draven nodded. "You're right. This energy isn't like anything we've ever encountered. It's alive, in a way, responds to inputs, but also unpredictable. I need more data, and you two need to help me." Mira looked at him sharply. "No more secrets, Draven." "You promised." Draven met her gaze, sighing. "I know. From now on, full transparency." Kale glanced at the holographic display. The energy map pulsed softly, showing currents of power moving through the surrounding sectors. "It's spreading," he said slowly. "Not just here in the lab. The energy is expanding beyond our facility. If it reaches the city, it could be catastrophic." Draven's face grew serious. "We have to contain it. But containment requires precision beyond anything we've attempted. It will take careful coordination." Mira bit her lip. "Then we should start immediately. Every second counts." The three scientists began planning. They divided the tasks. Kyle would monitor the energy flows. Mira would handle adjustments to the containment shields, and Draven would interface directly with the prototype to stabilize its output. Hours passed in a blur. The hum of machinery became their constant companion. Sparks flew occasionally from overloaded circuits, and the holographic map flickered with each surge of energy. Yet they worked tirelessly, driven by necessity and by the knowledge that humans could rise to any challenge. Kale noticed a pattern emerging in the energy flows. "Look here," he said, pointing at the display. "The energy seems to follow specific channels, almost like it's searching for a path. If we can predict its movement, we can control it." Draven studied the data, nodding. "Yes, it's almost intelligent. Responds to obstacles. That makes it dangerous, but also gives us an advantage. If we can guide it, we can contain it." Mira frowned. "Guide it how?" "It's like nothing we've ever seen before. One wrong calculation and the whole facility could blow." Kale's eyes hardened with determination. "Then we calculate carefully, step by step. Humans are capable of more than we think. We've faced impossible odds before, and we can do it again." Draven looked at him with respect. "You're right, Kale. We will do it together. We must trust each other." They worked through the night, adjusting settings, monitoring readings, and predicting the energy's behavior. Each time the energy surged unexpectedly, they adapted, their minds working faster than any machine could. Around midnight, a sudden warning flashed on the monitor. Kale froze. "Mira, Draven, look at this." The energy had begun forming a spiraling vortex within the containment field. Its glow intensified, threatening to overload the system. Sparks jumped from the machinery and the hum became a deafening roar. Draven shouted over the noise. "The containment field is failing. We must act now." Kale quickly analyzed the vortex. "If we redirect the energy into these channels," he pointed at the display, "we can disperse it safely, but it will require perfect timing." Mira's hands flew over her console, adjusting the shields. "I'm ready," she said, her voice steady despite the tension. Draven interfaced with the prototype, his fingers dancing over controls. "On my mark, now." Kale coordinated with Mira, guiding her adjustments to match the prototype's output. The energy surged, twisting like a living storm, but gradually followed the channels Kale had predicted. Sparks and lights flashed around them as the vortex began to dissipate. Minutes felt like hours, but slowly, the hum returned to a steady rhythm. The prototype's glow softened, signaling stability. Kale, Mira, and Draven collapsed into chairs, exhausted but victorious. Mira exhaled deeply. "We did it. We actually did it." Kyle leaned back, closing his eyes. "Yes, but this was just the beginning. The energy is still out there. Somewhere. We've only contained it temporarily." Draven nodded, his face pale but determined. "We must study it further. Understand it fully. Humans must control this power, or it could control us." Kale opened his eyes, a new resolve burning inside him. "We will. Humans have always faced the unknown and risen above it. This is no different. We can handle it." Mira smiled faintly. exhausted but inspired. Together, we're stronger than any unknown force. As dawn broke outside the lab windows, the team stared at the stabilized prototype. They knew challenges awaited them, larger and more dangerous than anything they had faced. But for the first time, they felt a shared sense of purpose and confidence. Humanity, working together, could face the greatest dangers of the universe and prevail. Cale reflected silently. He had learned a valuable lesson. Confronting challenges head-on, trusting his instincts, and relying on others were key to survival. Hesitation could have cost them their lives. But action, courage, and cooperation had made the impossible possible. The lab remained quiet, save for the gentle hum of the prototype. Outside, the city went about its day, unaware of the invisible storm that had threatened to erupt. But Cale, Mira, and Draven knew the truth. They were the guardians of this new energy, and the responsibility rested squarely on their shoulders. As Cale looked at his companions, he felt a surge of pride. Not in himself alone, but in humanity's potential. Humans were adaptable, clever, and brave. They could rise above fear, master the unknown, and protect the world from dangers no one else could even imagine. He smiled faintly, a quiet determination settling in. This was just the beginning of their journey. Challenges would come, but Cale knew one thing for certain. As long as humans worked together, there was no force in the universe they could not face. And somewhere deep inside, Cale felt a spark of excitement. The unknown energy had revealed itself, but it had also revealed something greater. The power of humanity, united and courageous, capable of achieving what others deemed impossible. The day was just beginning, but Cale, Mira, and Draven were ready. The future awaited, full of mystery, danger, and discovery. And humans would rise to meet it, because that was who they were, and that was what they always would be. The following week was intense. Cale, Mira, and Draven had barely slept, consumed by the prototype and the unstable energy they now knew existed beyond their lab. Every moment they were awake, the energy hummed faintly in their minds, a constant reminder that it was still out there, waiting. Cale studied the energy maps again, tracing the channels of power that had been temporarily stabilized. "It's spreading faster than we thought," he said to Mira, who was reviewing the containment shields. "If we don't find a permanent solution, it could reach other facilities or worse, the city." Mira nodded gravely. "We've contained it for now, but this is temporary. The prototype can only absorb so much energy before it fails. We need to understand its source." Draven stepped forward, rubbing his temples. "The source? Yes. I've been analyzing the data, and I think I've located it. There's a point in the northern sector where the energy seems to originate. If we can reach it, we may be able to stabilize it permanently." Cale frowned. "Reach it? You mean physically?" Draven nodded. "The energy isn't just theoretical. It has a physical manifestation in a zone outside the city. We'll need to take protective suits and specialized equipment to get close. It's dangerous, but it's our only chance." Mira's eyes widened. "Cale, are we really going to do this? Go into the unknown energy zone?" Cale's jaw tightened. "Yes. If humans are to master this, we cannot sit here hiding behind safety protocols. We must face it." Draven studied them both, then nodded. "Agreed. We leave tonight." The preparation was meticulous. Protective suits were fitted with energy dampeners, communication devices, and sensors to measure fluctuations. Tools for adjusting the energy channels were packed, along with emergency stabilizers in case the energy became volatile. Every precaution had to be taken, but even the best equipment could not remove the risk entirely. Night fell, and the three scientists boarded a small transport vehicle, designed to navigate through the northern sector. The city lights faded behind them as they drove into open land. Cale stared out the window at the dark horizon, where faint pulses of blue energy shimmered in the distance. "That's it," Draven whispered. "That's the source." Mira swallowed hard, gripping the edge of her seat. "It looks alive," Cale nodded. "It does, and that's what makes it dangerous. But it's also fascinating. Humanity has never seen anything like this." The transport stopped a few hundred meters from the energy zone. Cale, Mira, and Draven stepped out, their suits humming softly as the dampeners activated. The ground beneath them glowed faintly as if reacting to their presence. Every instinct screamed caution, but curiosity pushed them forward. As they entered the zone, the energy responded immediately. Pulses of light moved around them, creating a maze of shifting patterns. Kale raised a hand, holding a device that measured the energy's flow. "It's like it's alive," he muttered. "It reacts to us." Draven nodded, adjusting his own controls. "It's intelligent in a way. We must be careful. One wrong move and it could overwhelm the suit's dampeners." Mira's voice trembled slightly. "How do we even begin to stabilize it?" "It's so vast." Kale studied Thiggy patterns, step by step. "We'll guide it into control." Back in the lab, the atmosphere was tense but electric with anticipation. Kale, Mira, and Draven had returned from the energy zone, and the experience had changed them. They had stabilized the energy at its source, but its presence still filled the world beyond their facility. They knew that humans had only scratched the surface of its potential. Kale leaned over the console, scanning the data again. "The readings are steady now," he said. "But there are fluctuations I don't understand. It's almost like the energy is communicating." Mira's eyes widened. "Communicating? You mean it's intelligent?" Draven rubbed his chin. "I've suspected that from the beginning. It reacts to our actions, adapts, even anticipates. But now I think we can interact with it in a controlled way. If we learn its patterns, we can guide it instead of just containing it." Kale nodded. "Then that's what we must do. Study it, understand it, and use it to help humanity. But carefully. One mistake could undo everything we've accomplished." The team set to work. Every day they experimented with small adjustments, sending pulses of energy through specific channels, watching how it responded. Each experiment taught them something new. It was slow, delicate work, but their determination never wavered. Humans had faced impossible challenges before. They would face this one too. One afternoon, as Kale adjusted a series of regulators, a sudden spike in the energy readings startled him. "Mira, Draven, look at this." The holographic display pulsed violently. Energy flows twisted unpredictably, forming intricate patterns that none of their previous models had predicted. The energy was expanding, reaching beyond their containment field faster than expected. Draven's eyes narrowed. "It's responding to us, or to something else. We need to act quickly or it could destabilize again." Mira tapped at her console. "I'm tracking the patterns. If we can anticipate the next pulse, we can redirect it. But we need perfect coordination." Kale took a deep breath. "Then we coordinate, together. Humans work best when we trust each other. Let's show this energy what we can do." They moved with precision. Kale monitored the flow, predicting where the next surge would appear. Mira adjusted the containment shields, synchronizing her controls with Kale's predictions. Draven interfaced directly with the prototype, fine-tuning its output to guide the energy along safe channels. The energy surged again, stronger than ever, lighting up the lab with pulsating blue light. Sparks flew from the machinery and alarms blared, but the three scientists worked in harmony. Step by step, they guided the energy into a stable pattern. Slowly, the pulses began to synchronize with their adjustments. Finally, after what felt like hours, the energy settled. The lab was bathed in a calm, steady glow, and the alarms ceased. Kale leaned back in his chair, exhausted but exhilarated. "We did it again," Mira exhaled, relief flooding her voice. "It's beautiful. I've never seen anything like this. But we can't let our guard down. It's still unpredictable." Draven nodded. "Exactly. But today we proved something important. Humans can face forces beyond comprehension and succeed. That's the essence of our potential." Kale felt a surge of pride. Humanity was not just surviving, they were rising. They were learning to understand the universe itself, using courage, intelligence, and teamwork. The energy, once a threat, was becoming a testament to what humans could achieve when united. As they continued their work, Kyle noticed something unusual. The energy patterns were beginning to form shapes, structures within the pulses, almost like messages. He leaned closer to the display. "Look here," he said. "It's repeating sequences, almost like it's trying to communicate." Mira squinted at the screen. "You think it's trying to tell us something?" Draven nodded slowly. "It's possible. If the energy is intelligent, it may be attempting to convey information. But interpreting it, that will be our greatest challenge yet." Kale's mind raced. "Then we must learn to understand it. Humans have faced the unknown countless times. This is just another puzzle to solve." Days turned into weeks. The team developed a method to translate the energy's pulses into patterns they could analyze. Slowly, fragments of information began to emerge. The energy seemed to respond positively to careful guidance, almost as if it recognized their efforts. One evening, as the lab lights dimmed and the city outside slept, Kyle stared at the display. The energy formed a clear pattern for the first time, a sequence of pulses that repeated in a recognizable rhythm. "It's a map," he whispered. "It's showing us something." Mira leaned in, her eyes wide. "A map? Where does it lead?" Draven studied it intently. "It's pointing beyond our city into the northern territories. Perhaps another source. Or something even greater. We can't ignore this." Kale's heart raced. "Then we prepare. Humans will go further than anyone has gone before. We've faced this energy already. And now it's guiding us to something new. We can't turn back." Mira nodded firmly. "Together we'll face it. Just like before. Humans are capable of amazing things when we trust each other." Draven smiled faintly. "And this is only the beginning. Humans will rise to meet challenges no one else can. We will explore, understand, and master the unknown. That is who we are." Kyle felt a spark of excitement he hadn't felt before. The energy had become more than a threat. It was a challenge, a guide, and an opportunity. Humanity had the courage, intelligence, and resilience to face it. As the night deepened, the three scientists stood together, looking at the pulsating energy. It was a reminder that the universe was vast, mysterious, and full of possibilities, and humans, united, fearless, and determined, would rise to meet it. Kyle knew that challenges awaited them, larger, more complex, and even more dangerous. But he also knew this: humans could face the unknown, adapt, and succeed. The energy had tested them, and they had risen. The future was theirs to shape. The lab was quiet again, but Kale, Mira, and Draven were not. Their minds raced with plans, strategies, and visions of what was to come. They had stabilized one source of energy, learned to guide it, and begun decoding its messages. Humanity had taken its first steps into something extraordinary, and Kale smiled faintly. The journey was far from over, but he felt certain of one thing: humans, working together, would rise above any challenge, no matter how vast or unknown, because that was who they were, and that was who they always would be. The city below slept under a quiet night sky, unaware of the vast energy humming in the northern territories. Kyle, Mira, and Draven stood in the lab, their eyes fixed on the holographic display that showed the patterns the energy had formed. They had spent weeks stabilizing it, decoding its pulses, and following its guidance. Now the final challenge awaited them. Kale adjusted his visor, scanning the energy map. "The pulses lead further north," he said. "This is where we'll find the final source. If we can stabilize it there, humanity will have a chance to master this energy fully." Mira glanced at him, her expression a mixture of fear and determination. "It's going to be dangerous. The energy gets stronger every step we take, but we've faced danger before." Together, Draven nodded. "Yes, and we've learned that humans rise to challenges others cannot. This is our opportunity to prove it once again." They prepared carefully, checking their suits, communication devices, and emergency stabilizers. Every precaution mattered, but they all knew that human courage and quick thinking would be just as vital as any technology. The transport took them north, away from the city lights into vast stretches of dark terrain. Pulses of blue energy lit the horizon, growing brighter with every mile. The closer they got, the stronger the hum in their suits became. The energy was alive, reacting to their approach. Kale exhaled, steadying his nerves. "This is it. Humans don't shy away from the unknown.
We face it. We study it.
We rise to it." Mira smiled faintly, gripping his arm. "Then let's rise." The transport landed near the edge of the final energy zone. The ground beneath them glowed softly, responding to their presence. Kale, Mira, and Draven stepped out, feeling the raw power around them. It was the strongest they had encountered, even stronger than the first source. Draven pointed ahead. "There, that's the core. If we can stabilize it, the energy across the territory will align and stop being a threat." Kale nodded. "Then we begin." They moved carefully, placing stabilizers and guiding devices along the glowing paths of energy. The pulses twisted and turned, testing their movements, but they pressed forward with coordination and trust. Each adjustment they made influenced the energy, slowing it, shaping it, guiding it into controllable channels. Suddenly, A massive surge erupted from the core, knocking Kale and Mira back. Sparks and arcs of energy lit the night sky. The suits struggled to maintain stability and alarms blared in their helmets. "Keep going," Draven shouted. "We can do this!" Kale's hands flew over his controls, calculating every movement.
Mira, synchronize the shields with my adjustments.
Draven, interface directly with the core. "We have one chance to stabilize it!" The energy pulsed violently as if testing them. But slowly, under their careful guidance, it began to respond. Channels formed along the paths they had set. Sparks flew, lights flashed, but the core started to calm. Minutes stretched like hours, but finally, the energy settled into a steady rhythm. The core glowed brightly but evenly, radiating controlled power. Kale, Mira, and Draven exhaled in unison, exhausted but triumphant. Mira leaned against a glowing rock, her